evening, I'm Ces Orenia Drilon. Here's what you can expect in the next hour. Tonight, on The Big Story, massive flooding hit Metro Manila and Luzon provinces again, bringing to mind failed flood control projects. Tomorrow, the national budget will be submitted to lawmakers with hope that spending on infrastructure is done right this time around. In less than a month, the DOH gets a third secretary after the first two resigned for, ironically, health reasons. Congressman Sandro Marcos reveals a deal with the Duterte camp in exchange for support for his father in the 2022 elections. The palace, of course, is standing by the presidential son's story. And Alex Ayala's Toronto campaign may be over, but she has her sights set on new matches where she could make more history. In a bit, we tell you about the impact of Habagat on most of Luzon. But first, we go to the province of Bulacan, which was at the center of 2025's flood control scandal. Bulacan continues to reel from heavy flooding. Let's bring in mobile journalist Arles de los Santos. Arles, saang mga lugar ang nakakaranas ng pagbaha dyan sa Bulacan?
Sa ating bilang ay hindi lamang isa o dalawang mga munisipalidad at bayan sa Bulacan ang nananatiling baha, no? Dahil nanatiling baha ang maraming mga kalsada dito, bunsod ng ulang dala ng habagat na pinalalapan ng high tide. Sa Marilao, Bulacan, stranded ang maraming motorista sa Lias Road sa Barangay Ibayo. Di na makadaan ang karamihan sa hanggang binting baha. May mga nagtangka sana pero napaatras din. Pati tuloy ang kabuhayan ng mga residente apektado na rin. Tila naging lawa naman ang daang ito sa Bukawi hanggang bewang ang baha. Kaya gumawa na ng bangka-bangkaan ang ilang residente makalabas-masok lang sa lugar. May iba namang no choice kundi lumusong sa maitim na tubig. Pinasok naman ng baha ang simbang ito sa Hagonoy, Bulacan. Sumabay pa ang halos 5 talampakang high tide. Nalubog naman sa hanggang hitang baha ang ilang bahagi ng Kalumpit, Bulacan. Sa bayan naman ng Santa Maria, inabot na rin ng tubig ang ilang bayang sa tabi ng ilog. Pero may ilang ayaw pa rin lumikas. Binabantayan nila ang kanilang mga alagang hayop na katuwang na nila sa hanap buhay. Hindi naman madaanan ang Sitio Macayban Bridge na nag-uugnay sa San Jose Patag at Barangay Tumana. Naglagay na ng signage ang mga opisyal para wala nang maglakas ng loob na lumusong sa lampas taong tubig. Nagmistulang namang ilog ang Viola Highway sa San Rafael, Bulacan. Tinangkapan ng isang van na suungin ang abot tuhod na tubig pero tumirik din ito. Pati ang ilang rider napilitan na itulak na lang ang kanilang mga motorsiklo. Nandito tayo ngayon sa Malolos, Bulacan, no, kung saan bago nga tayo umere ay personal nating binisita ang Barangay Mohon na kung saan mula tuhod hanggang bewang ang tubig baha doon. No? Ayon sa mga residente ay nasa 2 linggo raw yung kanilang inaasahan na araw na bago ito humupa. No? At yung ilang mga residente doon na 4 na dekada nang nakatira sa lugar, ayon sa kanila wala raw silang maalalang taon na hindi sila nakaranas ng pagbaha.
Arles, ano ang saloobin ng mga residente dyan sa hindi maresolbang problema ng baha samantalang bilyon-bilyong halaga ang ninakaw mula dyan sa lugar nila?
Tama ka, Ses, no? Mula noong nakaraang taon, itong Bulacan ang sentro or epicenter nga na sinasabi nilang flood control corruption scandal ng pamahalaan. Kaya ayon sa mga residente, ang hiling nila ay maimbestigahan na ang mga personalidad na nasa likod ng korupsyon ng flood control projects ng ating pamahalaan. No? At sana daw ay mapakinabangan yung mga flood control projects na posibleng maipasok muli sa susunod na budget ng ating pamahalaan o yung iba na hindi pa rin natatapos sa ngayon, sana daw ay mapakinabangan nila sa lalong madaling panahon habang yung iba naman ay tila desperado na at sabi nila na magtitiis na lamang daw sila hanggang makakaya sa baha nilang mga lansangan sa kanilang mga komunidad. At syempre ang nakatatakot syempre sa part nila no ay yung kanila daw na mga kalusugan dahil marami sa mga residente na ating mga nakausap ay may mga anak at ang iba ba dito ay musmos. Pero sa ngayon, ang magagawa lamang daw nila ay suungin ang tubig baha ng mga ito sa dalangin nga na dumating ang araw na makalalakad sila kahit tag-ulan nang wala ang mga tubig na ito.
Arles, nakita naman natin last year no, yung mga substandard na projects. May mga nakita ka bang bago o may itinuturo ba sa na may bagong flood control o inayos na nila yung mga substandard na flood control project dyan?
Sas yung huli natin kasing update sa mga substandard at anomalous flood control projects ng pamahalaan ay pinahold yan. Pero nagkaroon ng reshuffling dito nga sa Bulacan, particular sa 1st District Engineering Office kung saan mismo personal pang dumalo dyan sa pagtalaga ng bagong opisyal, si DPWH Secretary Vince Dizon. Pero Ses, wala tayong nakitang mga bagong structure. Yung ilang mga residente, ang kanilang tugon, maiiwasan daw sana yung mga pagbaha kung may mga dike kalapit sa kanilang mga komunidad, pero wala nga daw. Pero may iba pang mga komunidad dito, Ses, na hindi lang basta flood control projects ang kanilang hinahanap. Mayroon nga dito mga komunidad katulad na lamang doon sa Mohon, dito sa Malolos City. Ang hiling lang sana nila, Ses, kahit mapalaliman sana yung mga drainage system nila doon, yung mga kanal, dahil kaunting pag-ulan lamang ay umaapaw na agad ito. Tinanong din natin kanina, Ses, sa Bulacan Provincial Disaster Risk Reduction Management Office kung nakatulong nga ba yung mga flood control projects sa pag-mitigate ng baha sa kanilang probinsya, pero hindi yan. Tayo nabigyan ng tugon sa tanong na yan, pero susubukan daw nila na mabalikan tayo sa bagay na iyan, habang patuloy naman ang kanilang paalala sa mga residente na manatiling ligtas at magdala ng pananggalang kapag sila ay lalabas. Habang ang ilang bayan dito, Ses, ay nagsuspende na rin ng klase para bukas.
Okay, maraming salamat sa iyo. That was mobile journalist Arles de los Santos reporting from Bulacan. Metro Manila was not spared from the weekend flooding, but have there been strides in NCR when it comes to flood control? Let's ask our guest tonight, MMDA General Manager Nicolas Torre III. Magandang gabi po sa inyo, GM. Thank you for coming over.
Magandang gabi, ma'am, at magandang gabi sa ating mga tagapanood.
Okay. So, ano po ang assessment ninyo sa nagawa ng MMDA the past few days na tayo ay binaha ng todo-todo?
Inulan tayo ng todo-todo.
At binaha
At
rin.
binaha rin ng todo-todo. May nakita tayo sa mga areas talaga. Hindi, undeniable naman yun. So, the biggest lesson here is that we have this drainage system. We have this pumping stations and all these integrated things to mitigate the flooding. Nakita natin that many of these are made in different assumptions. Ito ay medyo may katagalan
Inassume na nila na maliit ang populasyon,
Dinesign yan under different circumstances. So nakita natin yun, na-overwhelm
na
tayo.
hindi kaya ng sistema sa ngayon.
Pero hindi natin biniblame ang ulan, hindi natin biniblame ang sistema, hindi natin biniblame ang tao dyan. But what we are saying is that may mga areas for improvement na. At nakita na natin ng ulan, it explains the cause, and now it does not excuse the government but it does not excuse the government to improve the systems.
Okay. So you acknowledge responsibility of the MMDA in somehow not being able to alleviate because of faulty, outdated systems. Hindi kaya talaga.
Actually naman, kung ikumpara mo naman siya on the previous floodings, may mga nakita tayong mga areas na dapat
Kagaya
ito binaha na ito, pero hindi pa rin
Kagaya.
binaha. Itong GR Araneta natin. No?
Uy,
May
baha
baha pa rin. Yes, may baha pa rin. Pero ito ay dahil hindi tumigil ang ulan. Na ngayon, nang tumigil ang ulan, biglang bagsak din ang...
Pero hindi ba si Presidente mismo ang pumunta dyan at nangako na wala nang...
Ma'am, makita natin, in the past 2 days, there's a 302 millimeter rainfall. Okay? So, iba-iba kasi ang cause ng baha. May baha na cause ng baradong drainage, may baha na cause ng outdated drainage, may baha ng mga cause ng pumping station na hindi gumana, may baha rin na, ito na nga, makita
very
natin na...
unusual amount of rainfall, which we all know is happening and will even happen again and again because of climate change, yung extreme weather. So kulang, saan tayo nagkukulang sa foresight, I suppose?
Yung ating current, ang latest natin na design is based on a GCA-sponsored study, GCA-funded study, na ang 48-hour study, sa study na 48-hour rainfall in a 30 years and a 100-year study, ang lumalabas is, ang design capacity niya is para sa 293 or 239 mm of rain. And yun nga, dahil yun ang nakita sa 30-year study at sa 100-year study na ang ulan dito sa port area is around 239. Eh, ngayon, nag-iiba na nga, climate change, bigla na-acknowledge natin, this past 2 days nga, 302. Bakit 48 hours? Kasi ang assumption is that yung mga major flood or rain-bearing weather disturbances naglalast ng mga around average 48 hours.
Kaso hindi.
Eh, ito nga, na-overwhelm na naman.
na-overwhelm.
Dumami na.
So,
Lumakas na.
ikwento nyo sa amin, di ba ang pinaka-crucial ay yung pumping station doon sa Pasay? Yung Tripa de Galina, di
Yeah.
ba? Because it's connected to many waterways.
Yes.
Anong experience ng pumping station na to?
Tripa de Galina, iniligaw sa Facebook. Follow me on my Facebook. Para makita nyo kung ano sinasabi ko sa Tripa de Galina. Last month, pinuntahan namin yan.
Pinuntahan ko rin yun.
Pinuntahan ko personal yan.
Yan
8 ang motor
pala
doon.
ay sinisisid ng tao.
Yes.
Nakakita ako ng naka-dive suit.
Kaya bago...
That is how bad it is that you have to have sent someone underwater to take out the garbage.
Kaya nga bago nila i-criticize muna yung mga tao natin na nagtatrabaho sa pumping stations, na hindi gumagana ang pumping stations, dapat maintindihan na sa 8 makina, 3 ang lagi may malaking problema dahil yun ang nasa bukana, yun ang tagasalo ng pagkarami-raming basura to the extent na ang mga tao namin lulusong sa baha, lulusong sa tubig na pagkarumi-rumi
Nagda-dive.
para may dalang sako, kukunin na yung basura doon dahil hindi na kaya ng aming garbage rake.
So the problem goes back to the population, to the populace.
Sa paligid kasi ng Tripa de Galina rin, meron tayong retarding pan dyan. Dyan ng malaki nating waterway na sa kabila is may mga informal settlers na pinipituhan ng mga tao namin, tinitingnan na sila, sabay tapon pa rin. Konti lang to, isang dustpan lang naman eh.
Pero maraming restaurants doon hindi na yun masyadong
Sa
parang
upstream.
commercial na yun.
Sa upstream, yes.
Sa malayo,
Yes.
sa looban ng Pasay.
Yes.
So these are the problems. And you're coping with a faulty system, climate change, a population that has no responsibility about garbage, the local government units na mahina ang solid waste management system. So parang ano na kayo nakatali na yung kamay ninyo, kumbaga. Not to find excuses for you, but this is
Hindi naman.
job.
Hindi naman nakatali. Ngayon nga, hindi nga nakatali eh. May dala-dala pa nga. Susunod yan, ang dala-dala ng mga tao namin is papel, ticket, paniket. Dahil may mga nakukuha kami, may mga nakikita kami sa aming monitoring na mga nagtatapon ng basura. Pinupuntahan sa bahay, pinamumulta at pinapagawa ng community service. Sa sunod yan, after ng ballpen yan, papalitan namin yan, yantok muna. Sunod na mamamalo na kami. Sunod yan, pag hindi pa talaga, baseball bat na.
Talaga? Teka, nakailan na ang nahuli nyo?
Aba, kung mahigit 100 na ang nakikita namin sa aming mga CCTVs, may mga pinuntahan pa nga kami outside of Metro Manila. Nasa nearby area, nag-drive ng TNBS sa isang area, nihinigarilyo, tapon ng basura, tapon ng upos. Pinuntahan hanggang na-find out namin, ang bahay pala nandun sa adjacent province.
Okay.
So, pinuntahan namin. Pinuntahan namin.
Okay. Okay, good. Pero the drainage that's supposed to carry all this water ay hindi na talaga kaya. Yung mga drainage system sa buong Metro Manila.
Depende kung sa ulan sa ulan at saka sa bilis. Pero sa ngayon yun nangyari sa atin in past 2 days, 3 days na 302 mm in 48 hours. Above talaga sa original na design capacity. So sa ngayon, pag idagdag mo idagdag mo pa yung factor na yung design capacity niya na diminish pa dahil may mga clogged inlets, may mga clogged waterways. So, lalong
But I do
makikita natin.
understand ito palang mga drainage na iba yung mga malalaki that are supposed to bring water out into the bay ay meron ding mga hindi dapat nandun. Like utilities, is that true? Like water or yung mga utilities ng tubig, maybe telepono, ewan ko. Ano bang ay nakakaharang din sa daanan?
Unfortunately, sa mga inspections namin, may nakita kaming ganyan. Dahil nga, siyempre, itong mga culverts na ito, na supposedly storm drains, ay nagkukross.
Pangtubig lang.
Nagkukross ito sa mga kalsada. So, pag may water utility naman, na kailangan nilang i-cross sa kalsada ang kanilang tubo or ang kanilang wire o ang kanilang mga facility, idadaan na lang doon. Ay sinusulatan namin, tanggalin nila. Otherwise, we'll be filing
So
cases
these are
against them.
telecoms?
Halo-halo.
Halo-halo. Pwede ba silang idemanda?
Idedemanda namin pag hindi nila kinuha.
So isang ring dahilan yan. Kung baga, ang kitid na nga nung, hindi na nga kaya nung, how big anyway are these
Siyempre,
pipes?
depende. Meron kami dyan mga 70 mm. So, may mga isang metro. May mga storm drains tayo na pwedeng mag-crawl ang tao. Pwede pang nakabend lang eh.
Okay, how about the creeks naman ng Metro Manila? Di ba yung mga tributaries?
May mga creek tayo na ngayon ay address na ng barangay hall.
Wala na yung creek.
Wala na yung creek. Address na ng barangay hall. So yan, kasama yan sa mga pinag-aralang i-demolish. At hindi po pwede yan dahil talagang at the end of the day, it will really ibabalik sa atin, ibabalik ng nature ang tubig na ating dapat dumaan dyan.
You are wala pa kayong isang taon, di ba, sa MMD?
7 months.
7 months. Okay, in this 7 months, ano ang nakikita niyong pinaka-buod ng problema and how to address this?
For one, discipline problem, maybe. Because really, the facilities are there. The capacity is there. The design is there. Now, if we continue to diminish or lalo pang pababain ang capacity na yan because of wanton pagtapon ng basura, etc. But I really, andyan na yan, kailangan nating ipaintindi lang that it is the government's responsibility to build the infrastructure. Okay? It is the government's responsibility to ensure that that infrastructure will work in accordance to the design. Pero siyempre naman, responsibilidad naman ng taong bayan na huwag namang ipaliitin ang capacity na yon sa pamamagitan ng pagtapon ng basura.
But maybe, not that I'm excusing them, but also, responsibility rin yon ng local government. Baka hindi nakakakolekta ng basura, and then where do they also dump the
That's the reason why, ma'am.
garbage?
That's the reason why, in this multifaceted problem, hindi naman totoo yan. Hindi natin pwedeng i-explain sa isang tao na nabaha yung bahay na, ay, sandali, kami ay dito lang sa waterway. Ang DPWH ay nasa pumping station at saka sa design ng mga kanal at ang local government ay para sa kanilang sariling waterways. No, we can't say that. So to a person na ang bahay niya ay binaha. Government must work. Government must work as a system.
Yes.
Okay? Government must work as one and in synergy with each other. Iba-ibang mga opisina, iba-ibang mga ahensya na may iba-ibang mga purpose, pero iisa lang ang kanilang ultimate
Parang
goal.
may synchronicity.
Yeah.
Did you see that this has improved in the 7 months?
Well, I would like to believe yes, because like in 136, we can actually confidently say na when you call 136, we'll answer you in 5 rings.
Oh.
You can call it now. And
Okay.
yun ang mga, and then
Ano
kung
pa?
halimbawa
Okay.
traffic incidents lang, we can be with you in 5 minutes.
Yes, but when it comes to flood problem,
Yeah.
ano yung nakita niyong medyo may improvement compared to before?
So, nakita natin ang tumigil ang ulan, ang bilis na ng pagbaba ng
Dahil mas
mga tubig.
malinis na ngayon,
Mas mabilis ang
mas malinis na yung daanan ng tubig. Yun ang inaasikaso ninyo, di ba?
different factors.
Okay.
May mga nag-improve na dahil na-desilt na siya, na-declog na, mas malinis nga, sabi nyo nga. And then may mga iba na talaga na nakita nyo naman yung inilagay ni Presidente at saka ni Sec Vince Dizon dyan sa may GR Araneta. Ang lalaki na ng mga SDPE yun. High density na mga pipes yun. Tapos ang lalaki ng mga pipes na yun. So, sa ngayon, nakikita natin na pag tumigil lang ang ulan, bumababa rin ang tubig. Yan, pag umulan uli, tataas uli ang tubig kasi we have to understand that this system has specific carrying capacity.
Nakita nyo ba na MMDA is capable to maintain all these pumping stations? Kasi dati DPWH na trabaho yan eh.
Hanggang
Do
ngayon,
you have that capability?
yes.
Anong assessment nyo?
Yes, may taong MMDA, may mga protocols kami sinusunod kung kailan naandar yan, kailan naka-off yan, kailan na full power, kailan na half power, at kailan yung paano ang sistema ng paglilinis habang may downtime ang ibang motor para maglinis, tapos habang nagpo-full capacity ang ibang mga motor. Yes, the MMDA can do that. And sa ngayon kasi tatlong klase ang pumping station. Tatlong operator. May MMDA, 73 sa amin, mayroong DPWH at saka may local.
Paano yan?
So, we
Hindi
work
ba
in sync.
kanya-kanya?
We work in sync with each other. No?
So, 73, pakiulit, 73
73 ang sa
ang
MMDA.
sa MMDA.
Yeah.
Meron pa rin pala sa
May mga
naiiwan sa
DPWH pa.
DPWH. At meron ding LGU.
LGU, yeah.
Yung LGU, are they good? Kasi some may observation na nakakaapekto yun sa ibang kalapit ng LGU. Pwedeng gumagana yung para sa LGU pero hindi pabor dun sa mga...
That's the reason why we're saying that all these pumping stations should work in sync with each other. At dito sa
Yun
Metro
na nga
Manila, ginagawa namin yan sa level ng Metro Manila Council. Pinag-uusapan ng mga LGUs at trabaho talaga ng MMDA to coordinate and to make sure that each LGU is... every LGU is working in sync with the other LGUs affected.
Yung nangyari naman po sa Forbes Park, kung saan gumuho ang isang pader, have you identified culpability? Sino ang nagkasala doon?
Yan ay subject pa ng investigation ng DPWH, led by the DPWH, and the MMDA is in support of that investigation. Pati ang local government unit. Ang unang tanong kasi doon, sinong gumawa nun? Kailan ginawa? At ano ang design? Tapos makita natin kung tama ba ang design, ginawa ba? Kasi parang nakita namin nung gabi na yon, parang ang labo ng mangyari na kasama sa design. Kasi ang nasa taas nun is bago na mga tubular, tapos inipit ng drywall. So it's a little bit unusual for a pader like that na yun ang magiging design. Talagang mahina yun at babagsak kung gano'n ang design.
Hindi niyo pa ma-pinpoint?
Kailangan may investigasyon na maayos eh. It happened 3 days ago. So I think there's really a need to go to the due process. Ganun lang talaga. Medyo, it may be slow, but we'll get there.
Okay, good. But sa pag-ikot rin ni Secretary Vince sa EDSA, yung mga drainage hindi gumagana. EDSA na to. Isn't that MMDA's responsibility?
Gumagana naman. Baka mamaya overwhelmed lang. Dahil ganito, no? May mga because hindi first time yan na may binaha, yung dating hindi binabaha, yung malapit sa Orense. Nang inimbestigahan naman namin, merong mga debris at mga...
Debris ng construction na nakadikit na.
Exactly. So, kinall out namin ang contractor, yung gumagawa, at pinatanggal namin sa kanila. And we told them that, talagang mamumultahan namin kayo pag tinuloy.
Dapat minulta nyo na there and then, hindi nyo na pinaayos. Di ba? Para matuto naman sila because that is the problem I understand with contractors. They leave their debris.
Kaya, sa sunod na inspection namin, sasama ka namin, ikaw ang hawak ng baseball bat.
Hindi naman. I'm just challenging you na kayong mga law enforcers, di ba? So, what grade would you give yourselves?
For this time, parang ang hirap. Tanungin natin,
But be honest.
Tawagan natin ang principal. At mahirap naman gumawa ka ng grado sa sarili mo. Wala pa namang estudyante. Kami ang estudyante. Kayo ang magbigay ng grade.
70 siguro.
we'll accept it and we'll look at it as...
Hindi yun pasado, pero
yeah,
ano.
we'll look at it as a
But
challenge
is that
for
a
us.
fair assessment? I'm sorry.
No,
but,
no,
you know.
it's... We accept all the...
Sabagay, 7 months pa lang. 7 months ka pa lang sa, ano.
We would like to
Sa trabaho.
take it as a challenge to improve ourselves, to improve our performance.
But seeing as it did, what happened was really so much rainfall. How do we plan now? We take into consideration, kasi sabi niyo 50 years, dapat 100 years siguro or more.
May 30-year study, may 30-year data, may 100-year data na ginamit.
Yeah, but
so sa
50 lang ang ginamit
Sa
dito.
100-year data, ang naging average 239.3.
O yun, at least sana.
Tapos, nung 30-year na lang, yung malapit na, tumaas, 293.2 ang
So
naging
we
average.
have to plan
So,
to
tumataas.
anticipate for worsening.
Yeah,
Anong sabi sa inyo ng pag-asa sa briefing?
totoo yan eh.
That
And,
it can even exceed this.
expected yun. Expected yun. Kasi Metro Manila is a low-lying area surrounded by various tatlong river system ang meron tayo rito. Isa sa north, isa sa south, at saka isa sa east.
Geographically, talo na eh.
Oo. So, we really need to anticipate that. Kasi, at the end of the day, sabi ko nga alam natin ang problema, no? So, it does not excuse the government to act accordingly. So, the government is trying its best to, first and foremost, rehabilitate kung anong existing na mga facility dyan at saka yung mga drainage system. And then, pag hindi na talaga kaya, ang carrying capacity niya exceeded na. So, it's time now to redesign and build new ones.
Alright, marami pong salamat sa pag-amin na medyo nagkulang. Thank you for joining the big story again. May final parting shot po ba kayo? Sige.
Basta sa ating mga kababayan, laging tandaan, ay ang ating MMDA nandyan, ginagawa ang lahat para kayo ay ang mga problema nyo ay matugunan. Pag may problema, nandito lang kami, dahil 136. At kung yan ay mga simple traffic incidents lang, 5 minuto kami nandyan.
Eh, yung mga nabaha ang bahay, anong magagawa pa ninyo?
Sa ating mga nabaha naman dyan, it's really something that we have to work on better so that hindi pa natatapos ang ulan actually na to eh.
Patikim lang to.
Yeah, patikim lang to. And hindi lang itong episode na to, baka may kadugtong pa, umuulan na naman ngayon. And then expected natin in the next few weeks, few months, andyan pa rin yan, uulit at uulit. And we're trying our best sa ating mga kababayan at asahan nyo ang inyong MMDA at ang gobyerno ay nagtatrabaho para sa inyo.
Alright, marami pong salamat. That was MMDA General Manager Nicolas Torre III. You're watching The Big Story on One News. The Health Department gets its third secretary in a span of less than a month. Malacanang explains the new appointment after the break. Stay tuned. The Big Story is back with a massive damage of habagat rains in Luzon. The southwest monsoon dumped more than a month's worth of rain in several provinces. The torrential downpour caused severe flooding and deadly landslides, which have so far claimed 13 lives. More from mobile journalist Denise Valdesancho.
Satellite images over the weekend showed 2/3 of the country blanketed by thick clouds. On the ground, it was a nightmare. Heavy rains poured on for 2 days, turning streets into raging rivers and low-lying areas into lakes. The torrential downpour also loosened soil and rocks from mountain sides, bringing them down in the form of deadly landslides. The worst was this landslide in Baguio City.
Tulong! Tulong dito, Gisag Surong!
Just after a landslide buried 3 houses in Gisad, Surong Sunday night, a resident used social media to plead for help.
Anak nila yung anak nila. Nandyan?
Elay!
Nandyan na, nandyan na. Doon daw.
13 individuals were buried alive.
Kailangan po namin ng tulong. Ikam. Paki-share. Naka-oxygen po yung papa namin dito. May naiwan sa loob. Bata at saka yung matanda. Please.
teams from the Baguio LGU spent hours trying to find them, but only 3 have been found alive. 5 died, while 5 more remain missing.
Gamitan din natin ang ating light detector. Tingnan namin, pero wala kaming nakikita pang indications na may vital signs.
Elsewhere in Luzon, severe flooding hit at least 33 provinces. The Ilocos region and central Luzon were among the areas with the highest number of affected residents, according to the NDRRMC. Many were also battered in Mimaropa, Calabarzon, and the Cordillera Administrative Region. In Metro Manila, these scenes made the rounds on social media.
Baka may makakita ng video na to, pa-share kami, lagpas tao na.
This was taken Saturday night as heavy rains hit the capital. Floodwaters quickly engulfed several barangays in Parañaque City.
Yung mga taga-barracks di pa nakakalabas, na stranded na po, may mga bata po dito.
Residents took it upon themselves to help neighbors using ropes as lifelines to reach those trapped.
Wala pong nangyayari sa ano namin dito. Kasi lagi pong tumataas talaga yung baha. Masasabi ko lang po sa mga nakaupo diyan, gumalaw-galaw kayo, imulat niyo po yung mga mata niyo. Kayo po mga nakahiga sa maayos, kami po ito nag-evacuate, hindi makatulog ng maayos.
In other areas, the flood was made worse by raging currents. Residents using whatever they can find to keep afloat. While this video went viral after its uploader tried to wade through chest-deep waters to get home. Commuters along Dr. A. Santos Avenue in Parañaque also got stranded by rising waters. This woman fell into an open drainage hole as she tried to cross the street. On Monday, mud and trash was all that was left of the weekend lunch.
Sobrang hirap. Lalo't maputik. Wala, no choice. Ano magagawa natin?
Parañaque's LGU admits there's still much to do to address the city flood problem.
Ang main problem na talaga natin, kapag nag-high tide, hindi makalabas yung tubig. Kaya ang ginagawa natin, full dredging ng ating river. Continuous ang dredging natin, tag-init, tag-ulan, tuloy-tuloy ang dredging ng river natin.
In Cavite, residents were also taken by surprise by fast rising flood waters. Again, residents helped those who were trapped. River water overflowed into streets and inundated homes. A total of 18 barangays in Cavite, Cavite remain flooded. In Marikina, it was a different story. The city seemed to have solved its perennial flood woes. Even as the Marikina River level rose to its second alarm of more than 16 meters, not a single inner street in Marikina was inundated. Residents attributed this to several flood control projects by current and former city officials. And if there's a silver lining amid the Habagat rains, damage and casualties, there's replenished dams in Luzon. Angat Dam, which supplies most of Metro Manila's water, saw an 8-meter increase in water level. In a briefing on Monday, the NDRRMC also gave President Marcos their official tally. A total of 13 people have died from the combined effects of Tropical Storm Luis, Maymay, and the southwest monsoon or Habagat, while 1.3 million Filipinos have been affected. The chief executive ordered all concerned agencies to ensure the release of needed aid as well as improved government interventions.
And joining us tonight to give us an update on the impact of Habagat rains in Baguio City is Mayor Benjamin Magalong. Welcome to the Big Story, Mayor.
Good evening, Jeff. Good evening to our viewers. Magandang gabi ho sa inyo lahat.
So, ang pag-ulan din po na naranasan dyan sa Baguio ay katumbas ng isang buwang ulan?
Yeah, most probably, Jeff, siguro mas mataas pa, no? Kasi more than a week na kaming inuulan dito eh. At malakas. It was even a time na almost 200 millimeters of rainfall for one day only. No? Kaya talagang saturated yung aming mga soils dito sa siyudad ng Baguio.
Talaga po namang landslide prone ang syudad. Ano po ang update ninyo sa landslide? At bukod dito, meron po bang long-term kayong pinaplano, kagaya ng pagtatanim ng puno, etc., para po maibsan itong madalas na landslide na nangyayari dyan?
Well, isa sa mga solution namin talaga is the planting of trees, ano. Pero it should be a combination of also of technology, application of technology. Maganda sana yung rock netting, kaya lang naabuso naman, ano. So ang ginagawa namin ngayon, nagtatanim kami ng mga vetiver grasses, naglalagay din
Vetiver,
kami ng
good.
mga bamboos, oo.
Kasi ang vetiver,
So
mabilis lang
marami
po
kami,
yan.
may mga nature-based solutions naman.
Now, ano pong update dun sa mga na apektuhan ng landslide?
Well, we were able to account for about a total of about 21 landslides as of today, ano. At ang pinakamatindi yung nangyari sa barangay Surong, Gisad Surong, wherein 3 houses were practically displaced by a huge landslide. Tapos sa mga 21 individuals ang apektado rito, 11 were able to survive. Pero 8 ngayon ang na-recover na natin and declared na sila killed. And at the same time, meron pa kami 2 missing. So ongoing pa, nandito kami ngayon at ongoing yung search and rescue efforts pa ngayon. We're still on the search and rescue mode.
Okay. Also, looking forward, Mayor, should there not be a moratorium on building in areas which are prone to landslides? Kasi dyan sa Baguio, overpopulated na at ang mga bahay ay nandyan na sa kabundukan. Wala na talaga pong madaanan din ng tubig.
Yeah. Alam mo, Ses, easily said than done, ano? Kasi nga, kung titingnan mo yung buong Baguio, 80 to 85% of the total land area of 57 square kilometers, according to NGB, is hazardous. In fact, based sa latest data nila, only 3%, 2 to 3% of the total land area is stable. Kaya makikita mo, talagang, yes, yan ang pinaka-challenge dito sa Baguio. And at the same time, there was a law that was passed wherein 2 cities were allowed to build structures dun sa mga lugar sa slopes na 18 and above. This is Baguio City and Cebu City. Kaya lalong na-complicate yung aming land use. Ano?
Should you not
And we were able to
revisit
count
that?
yeah?
Should that not be revisited and amended?
Well, alam mo, nasa batas yan, ano? Kaya nga ang ginagawa namin ngayon, we just passed a new TLUP. It took us about 3 years to craft it, and hopefully it will be approved, and that will address also yung problema rito sa building of structures sa mga slope areas.
Ngayon yung rock netting na sinasabi nyo na naging bunsod nga ng talagang malawakang corruption, are you doing it there na yung mas mababang halaga and you're talking directly to suppliers?
Yes, we don't have any rock netting project because it's very expensive. It's a very expensive project. We don't have the capability and the capacity to fund it. Ang may kakayahan lang yan yung ating DPWH. Unfortunately, naabuso nga. It was not, the intent was not to protect yung mga motorists o kaya mga residents. Ang intent is pagkakitaan, pagkabuhayan.
Ayun. So ngayon, gusto ko nang puntahan yung issue na yan ng flood control corruption. Isa kayo sa naunang mga whistleblowers. And yet here we are. What can you say about the developments toward going after those who we must hold accountable?
Well, there's no doubt about it, ano? That people are really frustrated. And I myself is really, I'm very disappointed with this low investigation. And until now, ang nakikita lang natin na nakulong yung mga senator, ano? Pero from a very personal perspective, marami talagang mga congressman dyan And of course, they are also allied with some local government officials. And many of them are actually involved dito sa anomaly, not only sa flood control projects, but in other infra projects as well.
Kagaya yung rock netting, wala pa pong nahuhuli o nakakasuhan, tama?
Wala pang nakukulong. May kinasuhan na kami. Isa sa pinakamalaking contractor dito sa Cordillera. At siya mismo nagsabi na nagtapat siya sa akin. During my interview, sabi niya, Mayor, tatapatin na kita. 90% ng rock netting dito sa Cordillera substandard. Sabi ko, bakit substandard? Isa lang ang pinanggalingan na supplier sa mga materyales, sabi niya.
So,
At pinanggap nga niya yung pangalan ni Congressman Eric Yap.
So kaso pa lang, wala pang, bakit hindi pa, ano bang nangyayari, Mayor? Saan
Well,
ang...
na-file na natin yung case. Na-file na natin yung case sa Ombudsman. Siguro, nagkakaroon pa lang ng nasa preliminary investigation na stage pa lang.
Kailan po na-file yun?
When I was still, with ICI,
That's so long
siguro
ago!
mga siguro a month after I resigned from ICI. Kasi inumpisahan ko sa ICI, and then iniwanan ko yung investigation report sa ICI. At pinirinisan ko ng kopya si Secretary Vince Dizon.
Okay. So you are as frustrated as we are.
Yun nga, nakakalungkot isipin. After a year, alam mo, sa dami ng anomalies dyan, we're talking about siguro mga 200,000 or more since 2016. And the highest number started in 2022. And out of that number, mga 30,000 are flood control projects. So can you just imagine, ang NBI, I heard na or less mga 100 lang yata o 80 to 100 cases lang na imbestigahan niya. Philippine National Police, probably about 200. So we are way short of the actual target.
Right. So what is the solution?
Well, it is it is a declaration, pronouncement of the president that, magbigay siya ng target ng bawat investigating body. And kailangan ang mga results measurable din, ang progress measurable din.
Tama.
Kaya dapat may mga numbers na binabanggit.
Right. Somebody must crack the whip.
Yes. Yeah. You said it.
Well, Mayor, thank you so much for talking to us, and we wish you luck in your search and rescue operation there. We thank you for talking to us. That was Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong. Meantime, Pag-asa says brace for more rains in the coming days, still because of the southwest monsoon or habagat. But the downpour will be less intense. Thank goodness, since this weather system is now less enhanced after Typhoon Dolphin made landfall in China. Nevertheless, the State Weather Bureau is projecting showers over most of Luzon, including Metro Manila, until tomorrow, especially during the afternoon and evening. Pag-asa also does not see Tropical Storm Pelu affecting the Philippines. Meantime, here's a list of areas that declared class suspensions tomorrow, August 11. Take a look at your screens now. In other news, the Department of Health has a new chief less than a month after Dr. Brix Pujalte took office. President Bongbong Marcos has appointed PhilHealth President and CEO Dr. Edwin Mercado as new DOH Secretary. Malacanang says Pujalte voluntarily resigned for health reasons. Recall that Pujalte faced an ombudsman complaint over the alleged delay in the procurement of tuberculosis medicines. He was also accused of casino betting, something he vehemently denied. Pujalte was appointed only last July 13 as replacement to Dr. Ted Herbosa, who likewise resigned.
Does it have something to do with the issues about him?
Sa ngayon ay hindi po natin masasagot. Siya naman po ang voluntaryong nag-resign at ito naman po ay tinanggap ng ating Pangulo. Nasa kamay na po ng Ombudsman ang pag-iimbestiga kung ano man po ang naireklamo laban kay dating Secretary Pujalte.
Meantime, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro says Mercado will oversee universal health care, disease prevention, government hospitals, and coordination with PhilHealth.
Ang nais po ng Pangulo ay unahin ang kapakanan ng ating mga kababayan pagdating po sa kanilang kalusugan.
Before this, Senator Francis Escudero raised concerns over the issues surrounding Pujalte. He warned these could disrupt the DOH's work, including the implementation of universal health care. Today, some lawmakers welcomed Mercado's appointment. Akbayan Party List Representative Percy Sendanya and Senator J.V. Ejercito said they look forward to working with the new DOH chief on health reforms and access to affordable medical services. This is a big story on One News. Coming up, where is Alex Ayala off to next? We'll tell you after this breather. Stay tuned.
Kailangan po namin ng tulong. Paki-share. Naka-oxygen po yung papa namin dito. May naiwan sa loob. Bata at saka yung matanda.
Baka may makakita ng video na to, pa-share kami, lagpas tao na. Wala pong nangyayari sa namin dito. Kasi lagi pong tumataas talaga yung baha. Masasabi ko lang po sa mga nakaupo diyan, gumalaw-galaw kayo, imulat nyo po yung mga mata nyo. Kayo po mga nakahiga sa maayos, kami po ito, nag-evacuate, hindi makatulog ng maayos.
Malacanang found itself in the middle of two storms today. The first was physical with the Habagat, which inundated several towns and cities. Then there's the political storm, which has in the eye the presidential son. Mobile Journal Amy Atienza reports.
On Monday, August 10, President Bongbong Marcos received the final National Expenditure Program for next year from Acting Budget Secretary Kim Robert De Leon. The proposed 7.20 trillion peso spending bill is higher by 6% or 407 billion pesos than the 2025 coffers and puts priority on education, health, social protection, food security, infrastructure, digitalization, climate and disaster resilience, and good governance. The 2027 NEP will be turned over to the House of Representatives on Tuesday, August 11, marking the next stage of the national budget process. House leaders hope the National Fund will have enough for projects to end flooding once and for all.
Alam nyo, na-demonize kasi yung flood control projects. Meron nga mga bad eggs kaya na-demonize ito with the proper alignment, no? Andun yung tinatawag na red areas, talagang kailangan. And with the proper watchdogs, kailangan talaga siyang mabalik.
Importante na mabigyan po ng pondo yung mga flood mitigation na infrastructure projects, no? Kasi ang taon po, halos isang taon po higit na wala pong flood mitigation projects. Maganda po na balikan ito.
Recall that President Marcos vetoed billions in flood control line items in the 2026 national budget after discovering that roughly 350 billion pesos from the 2025 funds were left unspent. But for congressmen, there are ways to safeguard taxpayers' money. For them, flood control projects should entail actual inspections, clear scope and dimensions, and the blacklisting of contractors behind substandard or even non-existent infrastructure.
Flood control by itself is not necessarily bad, but it is how you implement it. We need to keep funding flood control. We just need to keep doing it right, making it transparent, and then may accountability ang mga tao.
Siguro ang kailangan baguhin ay yung pagpondo sa flood control projects na patingi-tingi, no, dahil hinahati-hati sa mga distrito at may limitasyon dahil meron lang alokasyon ang kongresista at senador para hindi na mangyari yung flood control scam.
In other Malacanang matters, President Marcos is closely studying the extradition request for Kingdom of Jesus Christ founder Apollo Kibuloy. The United States wants to try the preacher for a string of charges that include child sex trafficking and bulk cash smuggling.
Sabi ng Pangulo, in a couple of weeks, sa kanya sasabihin kung ano yung pwede niyang stance patungkol dito. So lahat naman to ay dapat na dumaan sa proseso.
Castro was also pressed about the recent revelations of presidential son, Congressman Sandro Marcos. In an interview, the younger Marcos claimed the Duterte camp made demands in exchange for endorsing his father's 2022 presidential bid. Sandro said the vice president's allies asked to pick the executive secretary, Speaker of the House, and Senate President.
Actually, tinanong ko rin mismo si Pangulo kanina. At ang sabi lamang sa akin ay, he has raised his kids well, and his son, Kong Sandro, will not lie. Kung inyong i-connect sa lahat ng mga sinabi ng Vice Presidente, nakikita nyo kung ano ba yung mga demands na maaaring hindi napagbigyan ng Pangulo dahil hindi ito makakaganda sa first, pondo ng bayan, interes ng bayan. Ang nakikita ng PCO dito, power struggle, kontrolin ng Pangulo, maybe the plan to remove the President like what happened before. That's the opinion of PCO, not the President's.
Kapatid Amy Atienza, we are One News.
Some happy news on an otherwise gloomy day. Alex Ayala is playing in the Cincinnati Open after all. She confirmed this following her round of 16 loss in Toronto.
I haven't gotten a haircut in a while. My nails are grown out. So yeah, I'll do a couple of things just to get my mind off tennis. And I think Toronto's a great place to do that. And yeah, reunite maybe with some friends in Cincinnati and just try to have fun.
Ayala reached the round of 16 in Canada where she lost to Belinda Bencic 6-4, 6-love. Despite the loss, Ayala called her Toronto campaign, quote, a really good week and said she was super happy with her run.
I'm looking back at these past maybe 2 weeks as a really big positive. I think I played really well. So yeah, I'm counting my blessings. I'm taking the lessons that I've had from these 2 weeks and hopefully implementing them even more and in a better way in Cincinnati and New York.
For our big story tonight, First Lady Lisa Araneta Marcos celebrated an early birthday surprise with Chris Aquino and her sons Josh and Bimby. In a post, the First Lady shared a photo with the Aquinos and 4 birthday cakes. One cake read, Happy Birthday FLAM. Araneta Marcos thanked Chris, Josh, and Bimby for the surprise. Mrs. Marcos turned 67 on August 21st, the same day Chris's father, Ninoy, was assassinated back in 1983. The Marcos and Aquino families have long been political rivals, but the president has said their personal relationships remain cordial outside politics. And before we go, rain or shine, tuloy ang kasal. We're sharing to you some snaps from the wedding of One News anchor Denise Tan to Onyong Maglaya. The two tied the knot at the Manila Cathedral Saturday, August 8 at the height of Habagat rains. But love trumps calamity and adversity. Congratulations and best wishes, Denise and Onyo. And those are the big stories this Monday, August 10. I'm Ces Orenia Drilon. Kapatid, we are One News, your side, all the time. Good night.